What's up guys, and welcome back to another book haul as we try to build the world's biggest personal library. I've got one pile here, I've got another pile here, and I've got a third pile behind. So let's get right into it, let's not waste any time. If you want to have a look at my favourite book from my entire library, I just recently made a video, click the little eye in the corner. Let's get right in. The first book we have is A Student's Guide to Albert Camus, an incredible French philosopher that really cemented that life is meaningless, but through the struggle to the hard times, through Sisyphus pushing the rock up the mountain, that is what is enough to fill a man's heart. That is what people should strive for, out of your comfort zone. Albert Camus does that really well. And what I love about this specific book is it really dives into the French, how the contemporary audience would have seen Camus. Next book is a little penguin reference dictionary of economics, and usually I buy these dictionaries. I think in one moment these are going to be very useful, but then I realise they just sit in the corner and I just Google it instead. Next book, Shakespeare, Giraffe. I don't know why I pronounce that in a French accent, but these are little sketches, little interpretations of Shakespeare's plays. Othello, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet are four incredible masterpieces of tragedies. No play is ever going to be better than that. Right, next one, Marx in His Own World, an analysis of communism. Cancer Ward, my favourite book of all time, talks about how communism and capitalism are just two sides of the same coin through a big political allegory. But I picked this book up, and I also love these little blue cover pelicans. I think they're amazing. Next one, John Le Carré, Call for the Dead. Again, these little orange penguins, they just draw me to them. Something beautiful about the colour. You know that shade, it looks so edible. You could crunch this. You could really crunch this book. Next one, A History of Modern Japan. The rise and fall and renaissance of Japan within the space of less than 100 years is one of the most curious and dramatic stories of our time. And I don't know about this, I don't really know what happened in Japan between like 1800 and 1900, because you know the samurai era with the katanas, and then you know World War II. But I'm a bit mystical about what happened between those times. So I'm going to read that soon. The Psychology of Study, C.A. Mace, incredible cover. These pelicans, amazing covers. Books like Deep Work, I really love reading. So let's keep moving. Chalky by John Wyndham, a science fiction book, but also a psychological fiction book. Little boy, and his parents think he has an imaginary friend that he's talking to. So they say, alright son, yeah, we get it, he's a bit annoying. But he keeps going and he keeps going, and the imaginary friend keeps disagreeing with the parents. Turns out it's no imaginary friend at all, it's actually an alien that has invaded the mind of the child. And just, the child can't get rid of him because the alien's just stuck deep in his mind, changing his life as it goes on. So Chalky. It's quite short, it's a short story, it's only about 100 pages long. Let me have a look. And also, buying vintage books, they all have old train tickets, old library cards. They have cool stuff inside them. Next one, Voyage to Atlantis by James Mavor. I always read it as Major. But Atlantis, the famous city under the sea, under the ocean. I watched the movie to this when I was a kid, and I was fascinated. So I thought I had to pick this up. Turns out, Mavor was actually the guy who led the expedition to try find the spot. And Atlantis was probably a type of mix between history and myth in the world of Greece. Now, usually you think Atlantis, Atlantic Ocean, but no, Mediterranean. Modern book now, Dementia, the one-stop guide. Might be pretty useful. And this book has great reviews, great colour. Something about this blue colour, right? So companies tend to use this shade of blue to try to indicate safety, indicate trust. Something relevant to dementia. I mean, people are going to not trust you because their mind has been overwhelmed with dementia. So you want to give them a colour of trust. Interesting choice by the author to use that colour. Right, next pile of books now. We're done with one pile. That was pretty quick. Second pile. The Enchanted April. The story of women living in a quite depressing England. They come across a newspaper and they see that there's an option to rent a castle in Italy. So they go on this holiday, they have fun in this castle, they meet husbands, nice, happy, funny story. Not the type of book I'd usually read, but the cover drew me in. So I'll look at that in the future. Next one. Tomorrow, 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 the most modern book I've ever bought. Usually I don't buy modern books, but look at that wave. I remember seeing that on a Japanese painting, and I was thinking, isn't this a bit copyright? I'm not sure what this is doing on an American book. I saw the rainbow colours, thinking it had something to do with pride, and I don't think it does, but it's a nice book nonetheless, and I've seen it in shops about 100 times, so I thought I'd pick it up for the collection. Next one. Hawks on the Hydramoth, something to do with Yemen and Oman. Lovely colours. It's kind of biographical about how birds move through, quite inconspicuous, where the front is clear, the back is clear. It might be missing the dust jacket, but something about books with just here that they have writing draws me in. I'm losing the ability to speak English. Right, next one. Traveller from Tokyo describes the story of a guy just before World War II going to Japan as a spy, and he's never really heard of the country before, so he's very confused about the culture, and it's quite an interesting story. Next one. Buying or selling a house. I got this one for free, and it's very thin. When you have books that are very thin, it's easier to get more of them. So if I'm trying to beat the record for the world's biggest personal library, I might as well do this. Next one. More anguished English. Anguished is quite a powerful word, something that's very bad. And this goes through different bloopers, different spelling errors, I think, different interesting phrases over the history of English. And again, it's one with nothing on the front, nothing on the back, just on the side. This one was actually free. I got it for free, so I might as well have taken it. Muriel Spark, Immortal Irrational. Right. Now, Muriel Spark is an author I'd never heard of as a kid. But then I looked on a list. It was something like the top 50 British books of all time. And her, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, was on there. So I bought that, and I haven't read it yet because I've got too many books to get through. So I thought, I'll add this one. In case I like that one, I'll have a second one lined up. Next one. Kazuo Ishiguro, When We Were Orphans. Now, I've got some notes on my laptop for this one, actually. Kazuo Ishiguro. Something about Japanese names. I feel like Japan is very artistic, very incredible in the creative culture. For example, Spirited Away is a great movie. Obviously, you got anime, but I don't really watch anime. But Ghibli films, they are very good. You've got Japanese jeans, denim, clothing, the fashion sense is good. But something about a Japanese author, the name just draws me in. Murakami, Ishiguro, they just sound cool. Right, let me get you some notes. He shows us that memories are just memories. They can never be recreated or relived. They've gone despite what the human will try to dictate. It will always remain in the past. Yeah, come on, get on with it. The same is very true for human character. The person you will be in 20 years is not the same person as you are today. So what I think are people are trying to relive their childhood days before they were an orphan. His books are apparently very confusing, very disorienting. Also about orphans, how siblings are separated, they live in Canada. Real people struggling to grow up with their parents and resenting each other. The author has a knack for writing characters so vivid that you would recognise any of them if they knocked on your door. And it's a nice cover, isn't it? Crow Lake surprisingly has nothing to do with birds. And I like books about birds. Next one, a book of English poetry. Poetry is something where I love how many references it makes to other pieces of literature. For example, Alfred Tennyson. He's a poet that does that very well. And I also love how every line can be extrapolated to write a whole essay. You could write an essay just about one tiny part of a poem if you are intelligent enough, if you can waffle well enough. So I'm going to keep these poetry books for when I am anthologized in my own brain, because an anthology is just a collection of things. Once I have an anthology of books that I've read, I'll be able to enjoy poetry more. Now, my favourite poetry that I've read recently is this one called Paradise Lost. I was going to try waffle out this one called Like Blue that I saw, and it's about someone's dead brother, some girl called Grace. And I found this book, and it's the only one I've ever seen and I'm not sure how it ended up in the UK because it's in America, this story, and the publisher is very, very unknown. I think it was self-published in someone's house, and I was going to say that, but realistically, Paradise Lost, The Fall of Lucifer is an amazing story. Next one, Plays by Sean O'Casey, a playwright from Ireland, learned the most from Shakespeare, the one that has taken Shakespeare's awe and replicated it the best. The first one to really make plays about the working class, about the grudgy, depressing life in Ireland. Juno wants nothing more than keeping a roof over her family. She's constantly dismayed, though, by her weakling of a husband, Captain Jack Boyle, who keeps whining about his leg pains, doing nothing but drinking and singing all the time. So, woman power, feminism in 1921. Interesting. Next one, Unveiling the Universe. Beautiful cover. Ex-library as well. This book goes in depth into the theory of gravitation, nebulae, supernovas, binary stars, variable stars, astronomy. Yes, astronomy. It's an interesting topic. My favourite part of astronomy is Tycho Brahe. He died because he went to a feast and he held in his piss for too long and his bladder exploded, killing him. This was one of the rare times that he was invited to a feast with a king. He felt too embarrassed to stand up, died through such an unnecessary cause. Right, third pile now. The Penguin Book of English Folk Songs. What I love about this, it also has the music sheets if I ever learn to play the piano in the future. But I have this little keyboard which plays whatever instrument you want. So you can press trumpet in the corner, right? And then whatever keyboard you play, it will sound a little bit like a trumpet. About the story of the Air Force being founded. And one thing about me is I was actually a RAF cadet in the past. Planes are pretty cool, but I didn't like all the marching. So shout out to that. Beautiful story, beautiful cover. I'm going to give this to my friend who is in the army. Next one, Susan Hill, a bit of singing and dancing. Hold on, let me move this book for a second. I'm getting bombarded. Cover, quite nice. Suitcase, England, Union Jack, Scotland. I bought it because it's got an orange penguin side. And orange penguin sides are technically always interesting. So keep that on. Next one, Willie Russell, The Wrong Boy. Now I don't really care about The Wrong Boy, but Willie Russell I do care about. Because I went to the theatre and I watched Blood Brothers in Manchester, England. And it was very, very good. Now Blood Brothers is a story about two twins that are separated at birth. Because this rich woman buys a child off this poor woman as a surrogate, basically. Although she doesn't want to get rid of this son, she's forced because of financial issues. So there's a very, very rich family raised son, and there's a council estate, rough area in Liverpool son. And they meet when they're 7, or about 7, I'm not too sure. And they tell each other that they are blood brothers, not realising that they are actually blood brothers, connected by blood because they were twins. And it's a very tragic story. If you watch the play, it all happens in a circular structure. So the first actual scene of it shows them both dying. So watching it, knowing that they're going to die at some point, and it unfolds in an incredible way. It's actually a musical, but the characters in it are so vivid, so great. If you watch it in the theatre, you'll remember it for a very long time. Right, let's keep moving. The Turin Stroud. I think I remember watching this episode of this show, which sounds like something else, but you got Rick Harrison and Chumley, and they always make offers that are very low. But it's something to do with religion. Oh, a bus ticket, a day rover. Now let's guess which year this is from. I'm not sure, but it looks like it's something from the 90s. Next one, the social psychology of work. Self-improvement books, always good to add to the collection. Now what I'm thinking is I've got a friend who's really into ants. Now this has ants on the cover. Ants, how do they work in a colony? What are the socials of that? I wonder if this book will actually go into that. Let me have a look now. Job design, history of work. working in organisations, retirement, no ants. I've been fumbled, I've been misled. Next one, the making of social policy in Britain, 1830 to 1990. I need another sip of water, I'm getting out of water. Now, if there's any laws that I'm unsure about, unsure why they exist. Next one, Great Northern, question mark. It's rare you see fiction books with a question mark at the title, and it's also rare that you see a little puffin that looks like a pelican. I bought this thinking it was a pelican. But anyway, ooh, now this book has not been opened in so long, the pages are quite sticky. Wonder what someone's been doing with this. Anyway, Arthur Ransom, he wrote books of literary criticism and on storytelling. Before he went to Russia in 1913 and learned the language in order to study the folklore. Interesting. Russian language. Very nice. Next one. John Sladek, Keep the Giraffe Burning. A collection of short stories. If you watch my other book haul that I have, click the eye in the corner, I might remember to link it. Critics say that John Sladek's work is actually too complicated, too intelligent for his own good, that he's not popular, not remembered too much because his work was too in-depth. Imagine someone saying that about you. That's kind of a backhand compliment, isn't it? And there's giraffe. Human head, animal giraffe. Doesn't match up. That's why I bought it. Last book. We're on to the last book already. I've been going very quickly today. We got Chimera by John Barth. This is a retelling of old mythological stories in a very charmful way. There are 3 in here. The Dunyazadiad, the Perseid, and the Belochoniad. I'm pronouncing that with a very, very off Arabic accent. Anyway, let's have a look. Beautiful cover, born a storyteller. It's a retelling of the 1001 Arabian Nights and many different stories within it. So, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. I've also just sold this bag of books. There's about 10 or 12 in there. So just so you guys don't think I'm hoarding books, I do actually get rid of some as well.